Okay guys, today's video was not originally intended to be about this miniature. I wanted to do an in memoriam style video for the lost Space Wolf character Lucas the Trickster, who does not make any mention or appear in any of the new kind of books or anything. So it looks like he is gone, and he was by far my favorite character in any of those books. So I wanted to kind of get him cleaned up, get him repainted, get him ready for the new edition. I'll use him as a sergeant or as a wolf claw or whatever, something cool. But I couldn't find him. And in my searches, I did happen across another old miniatures that I had, which is my favorite Space Marine sculpt of all time. I still remember the exact moment when I first seen it, and I'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. But it is, of course, the Emperor's Champion. I think the sculpt that I'm about to redo is much nicer than the plastic ones. Not that I have anything wrong with the plastic ones, but this one is something special. So let's get stuck in, get this model cleaned up and painted up and looking swish. Let's get to it. Okay, so this is my personal Emperor's Champion miniature that I bought. I don't even want to talk about how long ago, how many years and decades ago I purchased this particular miniature. And I still remember the exact moment of purchasing it. I was still fairly new to the hobby. I was working on a Space Marine army as I was sitting in the Games Workshop Dublin at the painting table where, you know, everyone used to hang around, do their painting, you know, talk about hobby, all that kind of stuff. It was an amazing, like, community center area. Games Workshops don't do that anymore. Drives me kind of insane. Let's not talk about that. But anyway, I was sat there, and obviously I was scrolling through different codexes and stuff, looking at awesome Space Marine miniatures and talking to everyone else about them. And then I literally turned the page in the rulebook and saw this miniature. And because I'd already owned a Space Marine codex, and he wasn't in there, so he was completely new to me. And I literally remember running over to the staff member that was working at the time and being like, "Who the hell is this?" He exclaimed it was, of course, the Emperor's Champion. I was like, what the hell is an Emperor's Champion? Where do I get an Emperor's Champion from? Give me an Emperor's Champion right now. I will flip all the tables in here if I cannot have this miniature. He informed me that he was a special character designed for the Black Templars, who were a subsector, a different codex. That's why I hadn't seen him. And he told me that I could indeed order him. So I immediately ordered him. And I didn't do Black Templars at the time. So I had this miniature, he arrived, and I was kind of like, what can I do with this guy? Can I use my army? And they were like, no, you kind of can't use him in the army. Things were a little bit stricter back then, as goes, you know, what you could use and stuff like that. Proxying was really a bad thing and stuff like that. But someone quite cleverly was like, you can use him as a company champion and put him in with a command squad. So that was my intention as to how I was going to use him in my army. So I built him, I got him together, I painted him in my old school color scheme, which was tin bits and bolt gun metal. The reason I chose those colors is they were the only ones that would go over black very easily, because old Games Workshop paints were awful. And thus my Space Marine chapter was born. And they were all that color. Not many people around today will remember that particular army, that color scheme. There's not a lot of remnants of it lying around. I actually think a friend of mine might have a bunch of them. I will have to get them back off him at some stage. I have a shelf dedicated to that old army. But yeah, so obviously back then I did a terrible job of painting him. And obviously I now have a very large modern Primaris Black Templar army. We're talking, you know, 50, 60, 70 fully painted infantry, dozens of tanks, 5 or 6 dreadnoughts. It's quite a large collection. I have both of the new current plastic Emperor's Champion miniatures. One was a collector series, stabbing down, killing the orc. And one was, of course, the one you can currently buy. And they've always been awesome miniatures. But to me, they did not capture the wow factor that this miniature captured for me back in the day. So when I was rummaging through the boxes the other day looking for a Lucas the Trickster, and this guy just slid out from under a pile of old miniatures, I knew he deserved better than to be left in the bottom of this plastic container, forgotten and unloved. And I seized him, and I decided that he was going to be my special video for this week. And thus, I pulled him out, got him cleaned off, got him stripped off. As you've seen at the beginning, I used BioStrip. My God, I hate that stuff. It is absolutely an awful substance to work with. It smells so weird. It's waterproof, so it's really hard to wash off. It's slimy, it's gross, but it does a great job. So I will continue to use it and moan about it every time I have to use it, because that's just me. Obviously, I've gotten the model reassembled. I did add a little tactical rock to boost his height, and I will show you an image at the end of him standing next to the current champion. And with the boosted rock, he does actually kind of mirror the profile of him. and I think he'll look good. And I will vow from this moment forward that every time I use my Black Templars and I feel the Emperor Champion, which is in every game you use the Black Templars because that should just be a rule, this is the miniature that I'm going to take off the shelf, deploy and use. I want to see him on the table rolling dice in anger as the model he was always meant to be. As you can see, I am following my particular Black Templar painting guide. It is a very simplistic, very easy, but it gives you great result Black Templar scheme. I've done a whole bunch of videos, a whole playlist, plethora of videos on how to paint models up in this particular scheme. And I will link those all down below. So if you want to check those out, my Black Templar playlist for yourself, figure out how I painted this guy, please do feel free to check him out. And those videos out and learn how to paint Black Templars like this. But it is a very simplistic scheme. I'm not a big fan of the painting the model or getting the model like a really solid coat of black and then just like 3 or 4 layers of edge highlighting through dark grays up into like light blues. Just a big fat no for me. It takes too much time. There's no way I would personally get an entire army painted in that method. That's why I went for my simplistic contrast over metallic spray, dry brush, bit of a wash, stuff like that. And I think it'll look really nice. Another thing that I've done to swap out my personal Black Templars is I don't give them white shoulder pads, I give them bone shoulder pads. I think it suits the tone of the army a little bit better. A little bit more like Holy Land Crusader kind of look. I think the Knights Templar had more bone than they did, or like ivory colors as opposed to pure whites. Maybe that was just from, you know, desert dirt from when they were fighting out there. I don't know. But I think it looks really cool. And funnily enough, I was in Warhammer World over the weekend, and the Black Templar army in the cabinet there had bone shoulder pads too. So I think I'm starting an entire movement of people moving away from pure white and going into these bone tones, and I think it looks really good. After all the base coats are finally on and I get to throw a shade down across this miniature, I am of course going to work on getting it based up as well while the shade is drying. And it will make a huge difference to the model. Now you'll see in a moment it will just click forward and there will be a red Martian style base, not finished yet, but just blocked in, and then this awesome black clad knight standing atop his mound ready to continue fighting, and it's just so cool. After the base coats, it is time to carefully start layering up the other areas of the armor. Now, like I said with the actual black parts, the black parts are done, and I will very quickly talk about how I do them. You spray the model black, and then I use a rattle can of lead belcher and I dust the whole model out, so it starts with silver. All the armor panels get covered with Black Templar contrast. Then I give the model a very light dry brush of silver, usually it's lead belcher, just to catch those raised edges again, and then a null and oil shade over the top of it. It gives a beautiful, convincing, metallic black armor you need to put very little effort into, but it does give you nice results. And then you can kind of dedicate the majority of your time and your effort into making the other details on the model look nice, i.e. cloth, weapons, Vulcan casings, all those kind of things, those pops of color that really do make all the difference as to how a model turns out. I describe this kind of miniature as the like a focal point miniature, or like it's the standout miniature from a range, the one that makes you want to collect an army. And I've had a couple of those throughout time, and I would love to know if other people have that same kind of thing. For instance, another example for me personally is Tyranids. I have about 10,000 points of fully painted Tyranids, and I have every Gene Stealer imaginable, every Broodlord imaginable, including the 3 new plastic Broodlords. And the 3 new plastic Broodlords are all fantastic sculpts. But that old school metal one where he's like lurching back, his clawed hands are like going down back behind his back, his head is arching, he's like screaming at the sky, for me will always be one of the most epic miniatures that Games Workshop has ever done. And it is the reason that I collected Tyranids, that model. And when I ever need to deploy a Broodlord in combat or in a game, that's the model I reach for. And like I said, I would love to know if there's any of those kind of miniatures out there that other people feel that strongly about. Please do share them in the comments below. And while you're down there, make sure you give this video a like and make sure you're subscribed. Those 3 things cost you absolutely nothing, but obviously make a huge difference as to the success of the channel. Otherwise, to help make this channel a success is check out the Patreon campaign and the channel membership, both linked down below. And if you're looking to make some Warhammer or any hobby purchases yourself, you want to save yourself a little bit of money and then give a kickback to the store, do check out the affiliate links below for Element Games and My Hobby Place. If you're in the United Kingdom or in Europe, those two will help you immensely. Okay, going through, one of the things I've always struggled with when painting the Emperor's Children for me, or the Emperor's Champion for me, is the black sword. The Emperor's Champion is obviously a very cool storied character. You know, lots of Black Templars go in and they get a vision before a battle and they're dead, like deemed the Emperor's Champion. They don a suit of artificer armor and get gifted one of the black swords, and therefore they will serve as the Emperor's Champion in that particular crusade or campaign. But it's supposed to be like obsidian black, razor sharp power sword, never loses its edge. The provenance of them is unknown and they're just epic. And I just never really felt that I nailed the black obsidian look very well. I keep like adding layer after layer after layer until I've lost the detail and I've forgotten what I was going to do. And so in the end, all I did was paint the blade jet black, give it a light dry brush of silver, and then just put some contrast medium over the top of it to dull it down a little bit, like make it look a little bit more matte. It looks okay, but I think I could definitely make it look better. I'm sure I will go back and work on them at some stage. One of the things we didn't really have back in the day was good, solid transfers, which we do have these days. So I'm going to throw a Templar cross, of course, on the shoulder pad of this awesome miniature. I've done whole videos on how I apply transfers. Nobody applies transfers better than me. I will fight anyone that thinks otherwise. You can check out my transfer video for that exact reason. And then with that, we will have our finished Black Templar Emperor's Champion. We've done things like eye lenses and gemstones and the laurel across his head and stuff. And like I said, I'm really happy with the final result. This epic miniature. It just fills my heart with joy that this forgotten and discarded model is now fully painted on the tabletop, looking awesome, and will be that way for the end of my days anyway. So love it.